Tonight, we continue to explore the impacts of domestic violence, particularly on the children left behind. Tonight, we're going to explore some of the resources and help available. Each family we've highlighted told 9 News reporter Darius Johnson that there were signs of control and manipulation they didn't initially see.
Tonight, those on the front lines who provide strength, resources, are speaking up about a crime that often goes under the radar.
Hearing stories day in and day out, seeing the face of children day in and day out, hearing challenges within navigating legal systems or family systems.
That's life at SafeHouse Denver, a shelter supporting victims of domestic violence and their children. The director of shelter services, Cymone Williams, serves as a listening ear on the crisis line.
Out of the 10 calls I answered, 9 of them have a level of lethality tied to it.
At the beginning of the pandemic, the lines were dry since victims and abusers were home together. In 2019, SafeHouse answered more than 11,000 calls. That dipped in 2020 with nearly 9,000, then spiked in 2021 with more than 9,000.
I can't count how many times a day I hear about a survivor experiencing strangulation, and that is something that is absolutely heartbreaking.
Some calls are reminders of why she started.
I grew up in a home where domestic violence did take place, and a lot of it was connected to power and control, like we know domestic violence occurs within.
At SafeHouse, the purpose is to make victims and survivors feel safe and welcomed.
We provide them clothing when they first get in. We provide them bedding.
The resources SafeHouse offers are endless.
Whether it's group support, individual support, community support. We access lots of different community agencies to make our services robust.
Even a safe space for children after their childhoods are often threatened, but Cymone isn't alone in her work. Renee Grings is the Victim Assistance Coordinator at the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office. In 2021, 3 women were killed in domestic violence incidents. That's up from previous years.
It sucks. It sucks for those families that are left behind, and you can't fix that. There is no fixing it.
The goal is to always provide resources when responding to calls, but sometimes they're stretched thin and the resources aren't available.
What do you do for these people? We're telling them there's stuff out there for you, but then when we try to access that, there's nothing.
Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser agrees.
We have 2 problems. We need more resources, and we need more people to know that there are resources out there. I am as worried about both of those 2 problems.
In an effort to combat those problems, the red flag law passed in 2021 prevents known perpetrators from accessing firearms.
Our goal is for both our red flag law and our specific domestic violence protection order law to reduce the number of gun violence deaths in domestic violence.
Another way he wants to reduce deaths is by conducting risk assessments.
If they are let out, there should be a protective order, there should be a removal of firearms, and there should be vigilant oversight so that we're not putting a victim in danger. And if we have significant enough concerns, we should not let people out of jail pending the actual criminal trial, because those risks, we know from experience, can be grave.
According to the 2020 Domestic Violence Fatality Report, 63 people died of domestic violence. More than half were killed by their intimate partners, 24% were perpetrators who took their own lives, and a gun was the primary weapon used in all of those deaths. While that number is down from 70 in 2019, 2020 is still the second highest over the last 5 years.
I worry about what 2021 has been like for domestic violence, for people who die by suicide, for people who die by drug overdose.
Signs of abuse are rarely apparent, but there are things you can watch for.
Little things, like they're not coming to family functions as much anymore. You're not able to talk to them on the phone. Pay attention to if they do have unexplained marks. You may not see them, but they could. And if you do see it, talk to them about it.
Overcoming abuse can be a slow process. Williams says, be a heart for the victim and for the children.
I think my message to especially the children who've been left behind is there's healing. And although the devastating impacts of losing a loved one to domestic violence are real and they're there, there's healing in that.
No black eyes, no bruises. Once again, the common factor, power and control. That just goes to show how domestic violence isn't always physical. It's also an issue that affects everyone, regardless of race, economic class, none of that even matters. It's the desire for power and control. And right now at the bottom of your screen, you can easily see there's a number 2 crisis line for some help.
I think part of the deal is abusers convincing people that they're alone, that there's not help out there, that they won't be believed, that they won't be safe, but they can be.
Yes, and that's the one thing everyone talks about. They instill this fear into the victim that you can't leave. If you leave, you won't have anything. You won't have money. You won't have this. You cannot survive without me. So that's where it gets to a point where a lot of times people will never leave because they feel that their life is so much better in that situation, regardless of how bad it may be.
And you would just hope what you have done, and we think you over the last few days maybe touches someone who this is that first step, right? That they're seeking out help, because that's where it begins.
Yeah, definitely, especially just hearing the personal stories of these families, and especially learning about the women who are involved. And just speaking to that, lastly, I just want to say thank you to everyone who played a role in helping me tell these very difficult stories. I hope you know that your story will definitely help others. To the victims, to the survivors, you are not alone. You can get help and you can get out. And to those families who I spoke with, I am so sorry that you all are dealing with this. It's not fair. It actually sucks. And thank you again.
Darius, thank you.